Welcome to Ideas in Action, the official University of Southern California podcast. Shows are webcast live on Facebook from Studio 1A in the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism.
Welcome to all those listening to USC Facebook Live, as we welcome all of our veterans, alumni, students, and those listening across the globe as we celebrate this incredibly special day of Veterans Day. My name is Greg Cease. I'm the director of a new veteran transition program at USC Marshall School of Business called With Your Shield, McMorrow Veterans Initiative. And a 10-year veteran of the Navy myself, and I'm here with my friend Mark Milam, also a veteran of the Navy. Welcome, Mark.
Yes. So I'm Mark Milam. I'm a U.S. Navy veteran as well as the president of the Student Veterans Association at USC. We're joined here on this day, special day, Veterans Day, to celebrate all veteran and military students as well as professors and today we're live from the Studio A at the Annenberg School of Communications and Journalism. So Greg, I'll turn to you.
All right. So, I had a very interesting path here to USC, and I graduated from Colorado State University in 2005. And once I got out, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I got a degree in wildlife biology, which clearly I didn't do anything with, but it was a phenomenal institution. I got a great education there. And I moved down to Jacksonville, Florida. I lived there for about a year and a half. When really to join the Navy was a calling. I know that sounds a little bit cheesy, but I woke up one morning and I said, this is what I need to do. I knew exactly where I wanted to be in the Navy, and so I went out and enlisted. I could have chosen the officer route at that point in time, but that would have taken a little bit of extra time to get into where I needed to be. So I enlisted out of Jacksonville, Florida, and I joined Naval Special Warfare, and I was in Naval Special Warfare for 10 years. I did 2 great deployments as an operator in Naval Special Warfare. And then I got to give back to the community as an instructor. So I was an instructor for about 3.5 years. That was a very poignant time in my career, but it also gave me the opportunity to explore new options. Maybe there was something else out there for me. And USC really provided that opportunity. They had just launched the initial online MBA program here at USC, which I was very fortunate to be a part of, and it really helped shape my transition out of the military, but it also helped me get connected to USC as a whole. And it really paved the way to understanding all the resources that USC has, many of which I didn't even know they existed. I knew that USC had a ton of resources for veterans. I knew it was a Tier 1 institution. But when you get here, you don't really understand the Trojan family until you're here or until you're surrounded by it. And I really didn't understand all the military resources that were available until I got here. And as things come full circle now, I'm a staff member here, and you get to interact even more and more and more. So it's been really an incredible experience going from the military and coming here to USC. It's been really fantastic. Now, why did you pick USC?
That's a great question, Greg. So I was raised in a Trojan family. Both my parents attended the USC Gold School of Law, so I was kind of raised up going to football games here. But like yourself, once I was headed towards out of high school, I was looking at the military. So I didn't attend college. I first was looking at the Navy and debating on whether I should go to college first or try to get into the war while it was still going on. So I applied to USC as a senior in high school. Unfortunately, my grades weren't good enough at the time to get in, and so it ultimately prompted me to look at the Navy and make that move. So while that turn of events steered me towards the Navy, I found that this was a good thing in my life because I spent 5 years in Naval Special Warfare as an operator, and then at a turning point when whether I would re-enlist, I realized that I didn't want to make this a career. So I got out of the Navy, and this time I was looking at once again going to college. And it was a question of, when should I go to college? I wanted to get it done immediately. I wanted to get done while I was still in my 20s, still young, still ready to get after it at school. And so I looked again at USC. And this time around, I applied to USC, and I was accepted into the Trojan transfer plan. So I spent a year abroad in Rome, Italy, and then I transferred as a sophomore to USC. So ultimately, what tempted me to go to USC and not just stay in Rome or consider just a career somewhere else was that USC has a lot of military benefits, a lot of resources. There's a military presence here. It's very much a military-friendly school, and that was something I was looking for because I felt like when I left the Navy, I was leaving behind my family, or at least my support network. So I didn't want to go lone wolf into the civilian world. And Greg, I was going to ask, let's talk a little bit about resources USC has. So I work alongside the Veterans Resource Center, and the Veterans Resource Center has plenty of options for veteran students as well as dependents. So it's kind of the focal point for our community, a place where we can all meet, have coffee, snacks, talk to one another with similar experiences, as well as there's counselors that come every month from the Los Angeles County of Military and Veterans Affairs. So these counselors come every month. They can help us with disability paperwork, education claims, as well as there's general mental health counselors that are specifically for veteran students. So that's something kind of unique to the Veterans Resource Center at USC. And I'm also the president of the Student Veterans Association. So this is our USC's kind of informal veterans club. We do social events, we have philanthropy, we also have tailgates every season for the USC, of course, the Trojan Network and the Trojan Games. So we've had a lot of initiatives as well that have affected the veteran population. So the Student Veterans Association has worked in conjunction with the Provost Office to have benefits for the entire veterans community. So some past initiatives have been the application fee waiver. Veteran students who want to go to USC, you don't have to pay to do an application fee. That fee gets waived, as well as priority registration for veteran students. So veteran students who are using benefits at SC, they get registration at the same time the football team does. That's a huge move, especially at a school like SC where there's a lot of students and classes can get competitive. We've also done initiatives such as military housing. So veterans have been able to get housing off campus near USC for a very affordable rate in comparison to finding their own place out in town and having to commute to campus. So along with a lot of the events we do with other universities, the Veterans Club is obviously some place for people who want that veteran connection, the community, that sense of family in the military. They can opt into it, or it's also a community that argues for veterans, that fights for veterans benefits, even if you're not wanting to show up for meetings and stuff. So
yeah, so we're really like two small fish in a big pond, and that's we have just about 1,200 veteran students. That includes their dependents as well, and I think a big part of that is for the unlimited yellow ribbon program. Could you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I've had some experience working in the Veterans Certification Office. So firsthand, I have a knowledge of working with the Post 9/11 GI Bill. What a lot of people don't understand about it is the GI Bill helps veterans pay for college, and a lot of times it's free. However, that's usually geared towards public universities because the GI Bill covers 100% of tuition for public schools. Naturally, many private schools cost a bit more than public schools. And in the case of USC, it offers additional funding from the VA, which is called the Yellow Ribbon Program. So the Yellow Ribbon Program is a voluntary effort by USC to help cover that difference between what the GI Bill covers, which is about $24,400, and the rest of that tuition bill. So USC covers it entirely for undergrad students. It's unlimited funding, and there are unlimited slots, meaning that any veteran who shows up, as long as they are not on active duty and they have 100% eligibility for the Post 9/11 GI Bill, they can attend USC tuition free. And that's a huge move, and it's obviously what makes USC stand out as a military-friendly school, because you no longer have to choose between attending a public school or a private school, at least for financial reasons. So.
That's such an incredible benefit, and just again, one of the many ways that USC supports our veterans. One thing that we're doing now through the Marshall School of Business is we have this new program called With Your Shield, a McMorrow Veterans Initiative. And this is not a graduate program, it's not a degree program, it's a certificate program out of Marshall School. And what we're doing is we're taking a very holistic approach to veteran transition. Education is one incredible way, especially at USC here, to accomplish that transition or to feel comfortable in that transition. But we want more than just the veteran to feel comfortable, we want the entire family to feel comfortable. So With Your Shield, our ultimate goal of the program is designed to strengthen the family through the process of transition. So we have a curriculum that's filled with, talks about the psychological rigors of transition, maintaining work-life balance, understanding family finances, and then we'll dive deep into more of the business education side of things to help people understand largely broad but business principles for leaders, because most veterans moving forward in their careers are going to be leaders. So we want to make sure they have a good understanding of what leaders in business need to be focusing on. but we also incorporate the kids, and we have children's programming. And then as we move forward with the program, the tangible goal of the program is to make sure that everyone in that family, including the children, have opportunities. So we want everyone to make their own decision tree. We want everyone to say, hey, at the end of this, do I want to seek employment? Do I want to seek education? And that goes for the kids as well. We have plenty of college-age kids or high school-age kids that join in our programming and learn and potentially come here to USC. We actually have a few of our kids that are now future Trojans. At least they say they are, so we hope they are in the future.
Real quick, Greg, that's not just operators like ourselves that were in Naval Special Warfare. Mm-hmm. It's the entirety of rates that work within Naval Special Warfare.
It's all of Naval Special Warfare. So, and we part of that reason is we like to keep things very, very small. Naval Special Warfare is a very targeted audience. But when we're trying to create a setting that feels comfortable to everyone, where everyone can open up and everyone can really explore and rediscover who they are, we need that setting to be very small. So we have about 10 families, typically per cohort, 10 to 12. And that seems to be a great number for everyone to connect and feel like they're, by the end of the program, that they are all connected as one big family, and they have that support group. Not only do they have each other, but they have USC, and they have all of our outside supporters as well. And this program is 3 months long, 20 days over the course of 3 months. It works out to be roughly every other weekend. And this is all at no cost to the family, thanks to Bill McMorrow, who is our founder. We wanted to make sure that was part of the deal. And thanks to him, we can make that happen, which is really terrific for us.
Can you touch a little bit on the other Marshall program that helps veterans as well?
Yeah, so we work really closely with the Masters of Business for Veterans program. Again, With Your Shield is unique to USC. So is Masters of Business for Veterans program, which is a one-year executive-style MBA. And in its own right, it is very much a transition program as well, because it's a cohort model. So you have 92 veterans in this current cohort that go through the entire year together. They learn about all their business principles. It's an accredited one-year degree, master's degree program. They connect on a veterans level. Only veterans are in there, but veterans from all branches of the military, men, women, and there are actually some from overseas military units as well. So you have a wide range of perspectives brought into that classroom. And it ends up being another really special program because you go through everything together. You learn from each other. You're there to help each other out. And you're getting an incredible education from the Marshall School of Business, which pulls so much weight, not just here in Los Angeles, but across the globe. So these veterans are discovering themselves. So many of them are starting their new businesses, so they get their business knowledge to move forward into the business world. And then they have each other to lean on once they get out of the program and help each other out with their ventures. So really a phenomenal program. And it just goes to show you that USC, which many don't know, is on the forefront and spearheading a lot of veterans initiatives. Looking forward to going across the country. So you try to be at the tip of the spear and move forward.
Absolutely. We can talk real briefly on the social work program because I know you have a little bit more knowledge than myself.
Mm-hmm. The military social work program is terrific, and we actually have one of our faculty members teaching for With Your Shield that's in the military social work program, and it's another program that is very seldom across the country. It's within the Masters of Social Work program, focused specifically on military, and you start working with other benevolent organizations and also understanding how veterans work, providing understanding how to address veterans issues, and it's truly a phenomenal program. Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, just from working in the certification office, I know that just about half of the entire USC grad social work program is veteran students. So if we're talking using GI Bill benefits at USC, so many students choose to do that in the social work program, and it's a big presence of our veteran community.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a really, really terrific program. So, and we actually a few extra things about USC is that we enroll more student veterans than active duty and reserve status than multiple Ivy League schools combined.
Harvard, Yale, Princeton,
Amherst,
big names.
Columbia, Cornell, Georgetown, Wesleyan, Dartmouth, Vassar, Northwestern, Stanford, all that combined, we have more student veterans, and not only do we have more student veterans, but we take care of them, and I know that all those other universities do as well.
Right, and that's one reason why USC has been named, 5th on the U.S. News Best Colleges for Veterans, because obviously it's a big challenge coming out of active duty service. For both of us, has been a transition. For any veteran, it's a huge transition. To find a school that's not only open to veterans, takes veteran benefits, covers the cost of tuition, as well as being a veteran-friendly environment, I think that USC is ranking pretty high up there.
Yeah, and with that, I know you touched on a little bit earlier just about how safe this place can be for veterans. One of the things that you're working on is the expansion of that student housing.
Absolutely. So we have veteran student housing, which covers about 30 students right now. And USC is looking at more resources they can open up because USC has housing projects all over the neighborhood, and they're trying to see where they can fit more veteran students in. So whereas before in many schools, veterans are just seen as commuter students, USC is trying to say, no, this is your home. You're going to be by campus. You're going to be a part of the Trojan family. You're going to feel like a student here. And I myself am living in veteran housing, and it's been a tremendous, impact on my life as far as being right next to campus. I can, go to my classes walking, not have to drive. Being from Los Angeles, I know how rough it is commuting in Los Angeles, having to dodge the 110 traffic to get here. And just walking across the street is a tremendous blessing, as well as, having other veterans in my house, because we have a shared identity. We've lived with military members before while in active service, and we all have kind of something that it's like an eternal support network. So we have each other no matter what. And that's the most valuable thing for me here.
Mm-hmm. And I this being such a special day in Veterans Day, like what does Veterans Day mean to you? Any special sentiments for Veterans Day?
Right. So there's obviously a few holidays that are related to the military. Memorial Day is a very somber event where we remember our fallen, brothers and sisters in arms who have paid the ultimate price. Veterans Day, however, is acknowledging all those past, present, and future who are serving this country, who may not have paid the ultimate price, but we've all sacrificed for this great country, and we all have something in common. So this is the one day where we can prop each other up, have smiles on our faces, and recognize, the time we've had together, as well as how that has shaped our futures. Mm-hmm. How about yourself, Greg? What are your thoughts?
I just today I always think about those that are currently overseas serving and fighting for our freedoms here, the strength of their families back home, holding down the fort back home, and it means so much to that veteran overseas to know that they have a stronghold here at home with their families, and that their families are taken care of. Certainly the generations of veterans that have really set the framework for freedom and what we have today in this great country. And as you mentioned, those that have paid the ultimate sacrifice in protecting but also establishing those freedoms that we have. And thanks to the USC network and such great supporters here in Los Angeles and globally, and it's really a wonderful feeling to have that kind of support and to celebrate our veterans on a day like today.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to turn to viewer questions. See what you have for us. Okay, so some of the few ones we have already. Does USC have every military branch as an ROTC option? So we can speak off the bat. There's Army, there's Navy, Marine Corps ROTC. I know there's Air Force as well right here on campus.
USC has an ROTC program for every branch of the military. And one little tidbit of information here is that USC's actually been an ROTC pipeline since 1913, where we used to serve as Army officer pipeline for those heading into World War I. So our ROTC program has been around for over 100 years, which is pretty incredible. Absolutely. And we keep trying to build on that and make it better to this day. So really great feeling. And I think the next question here, I was in an online program. I may not have necessarily experienced this as much as you have, Mark, but the question is, will I feel old and out of place at a traditional university where many first year at the university are 18 years old.
Yeah, I think that's been definitely something that's defined my experience, is that it is different coming in at an older age to any university in the country. The college experience is greatly it's different for veterans that have come out of 4 years minimum to coming into school. Oftentimes, I know there's a statistic that about 80% of veterans, no matter what they do for their next step in transition, will stop in a community college. So for a lot of veterans, it's a time process just to get into a 4-year university like USC. So it may be a few years even after service. Myself, it took 2 years to get into USC. Mm-hmm. So there's definitely an age difference coming from our backgrounds, as well as some additional time to get in. But I found that at a school like USC, we have so many veterans here. We have such a military-friendly campus that I've made friends with so many different people I wouldn't have necessarily thought I would have. Students that may not be as old as I am or the same life experiences, they're open to it. They're interested to hear a different perspective, as well as our fellow veterans in ROTC. We form one military community. The military community at SC is made up with veterans, ROTC, dependents, as well as active duty guys. Mm-hmm. There's active duty guys taking classes here at nearby bases, and I think it's very much a college that I was able to step into where I anticipated more of a challenge with the age difference than there really was. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think this next question I can really touch on as well. The question is, I'll be discharged from the service in a few months. How can I get ready for civilian life? And I will say, I stepped into that online MBA program at Marshall, and my goal wasn't necessarily at the beginning, hey, by the end of this, I'm going to be a business expert. For me, it was a way to shift my mindset, because in the military, you're told your mission, right? And you go for it. You know exactly what your role is. You have a certain way of thinking. There's a certain structure, and being at the university is a great way, and being in some of these classes is a great way to really open your mind to new terminology, like new ideas, and rediscover who you are, so that discover things within yourself. For instance, I didn't really understand or know that I was very entrepreneurial. And throughout this whole process and being at USC and understanding those ideas and what's out there, I was like, oh, you know what? Maybe I do like to do that. And I like to think through problems or establish business plans or that kind of thing. And that's what really helped me. So using it as a tool to just get out of that mindset of one foot in front of the other, and being in an institution as big as the military, it's like there are so many options and ideas out there, and that really helped me just going back to school. And I was
going to say that my path out of the military was a little bit different than most. I didn't really have the whole transitioning period beforehand. It was kind of like I got ready to go and I left. So I would say that looking in hindsight, I would definitely consider what your interests are outside of the military, where your interests lie before you join the military, what your interests are currently, as well as where you see yourself in the future, because just like anything, envisioning where you will be will help you guide along the way, as well as reaching out to places that you may be interested in. I know working with the Veterans Association, we have so many networking events. We have a recruitment fair in the fall that we have so many big employers as well as government agencies that are looking to hire veterans. I think that if you come before you leave the service, start reaching out to schools like USC or ones you may be interested in and saying, hey, what do you need from me? What should I be doing now? Because all these offices at like the Veteran Resources Center, they're equipped to deal those kind of questions of how can you prepare yourself in service to get to where you want to go, as well as, looking into events that schools may offer. USC has other events besides this recruitment fair. There are a lot of events looking to hire veterans, and I think that a lot of veterans just leave service and go, what now? And it's easier to start to get ahead of the curve, anticipate those kind of questions, and start the preemptive work of setting yourself up for success. Because I know myself, it was a huge challenge to get myself onto my footing when I came out of service and onto the path I wanted to be on. And a lot of that was I just didn't I didn't reach out to people who were willing to help, who were open to help, whose entire job is to help. And I was kind of taking on the burden by myself.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point to stay ahead of it and get ahead of it. That's terrific. Well, thank you, Mark, for being here today, and it's been great chatting today. Thank everyone out here tuning into USC Facebook Live. Enjoy your Veterans Day, and never forget.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast and visit us at podcast.usc.edu.